you ever wanted to sneak around in heavy armor and not deal with disadvantage, this might be the race for you. So sit back, grab a slice of pizza, enjoy the 80s nostalgia as we talk about everybody's favorite race, the Tortle, here on Rolling with Advantage. Today we're going to be talking about the Tortle race and why you might want to choose to play this in your next game. The Tortle is very interesting and gives us a lot of racial traits that we don't really see with a lot of other classes. So let's dive in and kind of take a look and see what we get with this racial kit. We get +2 to strength and +1 to wisdom, which is an interesting array of stat bumps that we don't see a whole lot. We also get claws, give us a natural weapon. We also give the ability to hold our breath for an hour, which I think can be kind of fun and useful in certain situations to be able to have that ability in your back pocket. I'm going to skip over this one and go to Survival Instinct. They get survival naturally. It's a good skill. Now let's talk about natural armor. Natural armor gives you an AC of 17, so this ability allows us a lot of flexibility when we're building a class character, and it also kind of helps us think, okay, how am I going to utilize this effectively? So this is a very interesting thing. Now, one thing to note, it doesn't stack with dexterity and it doesn't stack with unarmored defense. So your Tortle, monk, barbarian, or whatever, you don't get to add unarmored defense on top of this. This is it. Now, you can add a shield, or you could get some magic items like a cloak of protection or something like that to fully augment this out if you just want to go crazy with the armor. Also, we get shell defense, which gives us a +4 bonus to AC. Now, the thing that's interesting about this is that I could cast a spell, I could withdraw into my shell, and now I've got a really high AC, and maybe the concentration of the spell is still going. So, an interesting idea with this is to play some type of cleric where I can walk into the battlefield, cast Spirit Guardians, withdraw into my shell, and just let everybody deal with the angels or whatever I've got flying around killing everybody. That sounds interesting. Definitely a different type of play style. So that kind of gives us an idea here of what we're talking about. Now let's go over, and as we look on, D&D Beyond is great because it has all this information just ready for us to go, but as we kind of look over the Tortle, there's some things that we need to know about the Tortle to kind of help us understand the Tortle, how to play a Tortle, and that is, the first thing I want to talk about is that when a Tortle is born, you see their mating doesn't start until the end of their life cycle. So when they're born, they have very old parents that may only be around for a year or two until they're on their own. So a Tortle, they mature fast and they're able to, you know, kind of learn everything they need to learn in the first couple of years, and then they're out on their own to see the world. And I think that's very interesting. They're orphans at a very early age, but it's normal for Tortles and their society. That's just the way things are. So I think they would just travel around, and that's kind of what it talks about. They travel the world. Think of a Tortle on a permanent RV trip. He's got his home on his back. He's just going to be traveling around, looking at different cultures and society, and just kind of being a sponge and learning about, you know, everything else around them. It also talks about how they don't have their own pantheon of gods, so they're going to be going around learning about other deities and other you know, cultures, and kind of borrowing from those cultures. So a cleric is going to just kind of maybe pick up what he's heard on the way and say, hey, you know what, I'm really into Saloon, I'm really into Helm, or whatever deity he may come across that's interesting to him. Or maybe it could be something passed down from his parents. That is very possible. So these are just some ideas to kind of help you along your way of trying to figure out how to RP and how to build your character. They are adventurers at heart. They want to travel the world. They're mesmerized by other cultures and their ability to build structures and society in general. So I see them as a wanderer. So I think for background, I'm thinking Outlander or Far Travel or something of that nature. You could go Hermit. Any of those kind of fit the mythos of what I'm thinking about for a Tortle. Now, going back to their abilities and looking at all of this, you know, we've already hit a couple of class ideas. Of course, as a child of the 80s, a Tortle monk is the first thing you're going to think about. I did. But then I'm also thinking, you know, with barbarian, it could be very interesting because I don't have to worry about unarmored defense. I mean, having a 17 AC while raging is going to make this a very stout option for Barbarian. Having a +2 to strength means all of the martial classes are going to be great for him. You know, Fighter, Paladin, any of them. Ranger would be a great one. Also with the +1 to Wisdom, we could talk Cleric, we could talk Druid as well. So we have a lot of options and flexibility with this class. Also, if you say, you know what, I'd like to be a wizard that has an AC of 17, you could do that. Now, you're not going to have the stat bumps that you're looking for in intelligence, but, you know, if you're rolling dice instead of doing point buy, you can probably get around that. So that is an option as well. So now if we take a look at, you know, what basically of everything that we've talked about as far as, you know, the race, how they kind of work with the world, who they are. And then I also, me personally, I like to take these and say, okay, I want to use both of these to the best of my ability, and I think Ranger is a great option for a Tortle. So what I'm going to do is I go over here and take a look at Ranger. You know, a lot of people kind of frown on the Ranger, but I think that the Tortle kind of fixes some of the issues that I personally have seen with the Ranger, and that is the fact that as far as proficiency, they can only get up to medium armor. So I think as a frontline fighter that a lot of times we might see a Ranger go, you know, you have your sniper builds, but with this, if you want to be up front and use your strength and everything, having medium armor is kind of can be rough. Now with an AC of 17, slap a shield on you, now your AC is 19. That's not a bad frontline Ranger. Now we're also in a favorite enemy. This is standard Ranger fare. You know, I always pick goblins and orcs and stuff just because that's normal. Now in your game, if you know you're going up against giants or whatever region you're in, you can pick whatever. Natural Explorer, you kind of get these as you level. I like to start with Forest. That's the most common, and then kind of move up. But again, it depends on your game, depends on your table. Here at second level, you've got a couple of options. I went Dueling because I want to go with a sword and board Tortle. You could go 2-weapon fighting if you want to really just kind of go out with the Hunter's Mark idea. But I think Dueling is good. Just a quick note, defense does not work with a Tortle because you're not wearing armor, unless you put armor on, but that defeats the purpose. So I'm going to go with Dueling. Now, as far as the archetype goes, I went with Hunter. I went Hunter because I like Colossus Slayer a lot of the three options. This gives me the ability to do an extra D8 of damage to something who's already taken damage. So what I can do is swing my one-hander, we'll say it's a flail. That's a D8, Hunter's Mark on him as a bonus action. Before I did that, so that's going to be another D6 plus a D8 for Colossus Slayer. Okay, so 2D8 plus 1D6 when I attack a guy. That's not bad. That's not bad at all. For a frontline character, that's really good. Now, as far as ability score improvement, if I have a shield, I like having Shield Master because I'm not going to have a very high dexterity. I don't need it for this character. Having the AC bonus for your dexterity saving throw is good. We also get an evasion effect off of it. Also, I like being able to move people around the battlefield if I'm up front. You know, knock somebody off a ledge or push somebody into the water. Just whatever. Just having this tactic is really fun. Let's see. I do want to jump into defensive tactics. I like multi-attack defense. I think this is the better option of the three because as you get higher, more and more things you fight have multi-attack. So I want to be able to protect myself from that. Now, hide in plain sight at level 10 is one of the reasons that I really like the idea of playing a Tortle Ranger. I just think the idea of, you know, slapping some mud on my shell, digging into the mud, where, you know, I just look like a rock, you know, and somebody runs by. I'm thinking that scene from Rambo where the guy, he opens his eyes and jumps out at the guy. I think that's me as a Tortle. You know, I think that'd be a lot of fun. So this is the way I would build a Tortle. And as far as role play goes, another quick tip. I would pull from, I'm a Star Wars guy, so I'm thinking Yoda from the prequels, or maybe he moves really slow and deliberate, but when combat moves, he speeds up and he's really fast. That's just my idea. So here's my Tortle idea. I'd love to hear how you guys are playing Tortles at your tables. I'd be very interested to hear that, whether you went with the monk and went with the Ninja Turtle or if you tried something different. So leave a comment below. Also, we have a Discord channel I'd like for you to join. I'll leave a link to it in our description below. And if you have any questions or comments, I'd love to hear them, or any ideas for future content would be great. If you would, just like and subscribe to the channel, and as always, keep rolling with advantage. Thanks.